Hey guys, I'm Justin with Legato Financial Group. Our firm is passionate about helping educate consumers, which is why we're powering the Gaining Interest podcast. The podcast of quick conversations with industry experts on topics that you want to know about, from sports to dining to healthcare and automotive, and really everything in between. It's hosted by one of the greatest local personalities that I've met, that's John Ramsey.
I'll tell you why I love this podcast, because it's all about community. We used to call it water cooler talk, and that no longer exists. But if it's interesting to you, it's interesting to us. We encourage you to tell your friends. As Justin mentioned, we're going to talk about everything under the sun. We will be gaining interest, and we appreciate you watching. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Gaining Interest, which is powered by Legato Financial Group, and we thank them for that. Okay, as we all are very aware, there is a big birthday coming for an icon of Louisville, and that is the Kentucky Derby. It's 150th birthday. Another icon is celebrating a big birthday, and that is the Belle of Louisville. That's why I have as my guest Heather Gotlib, and Heather is the Communications and Content Manager for the Belle of Louisville, right?
Yes. Belle of Louisville riverboats, actually, because we have 3 boats.
Whoa, okay.
Yes, so we have the Belle of Louisville, who is another Louisville icon. She's turning 110 this year. In October, we celebrate the day she launched in 1914 as her birthday, and that's going to be in October. And then we have the Mary Miller, and so that boat cruises most of our season. She's kind of our newer riverboat, and then our offices are on the Mayor Andrew Broaddus, which is a National Historic Landmark from 1929.
Okay, so hang with me on this one, Heather.
Yes.
You ready? Here's the analogy I make here. Okay, we've all had that friend who's getting up there in years, and we all know that. But they've had a few nips and tucks, and maybe they've been to the doctor a little bit, and they look fantastic, and they look really young.
Yes.
And I think for 110 years old, the Belle of Louisville looks fantastic. So tell us a little bit about some of the renovations and things she's been through. I think the doc has been to see her a couple of times.
She's had a little bit of work done. That's definitely for sure, because she started out as a steamboat that really just delivered cargo. And so a lot of our engineers like to call it, it was a pickup truck. And so in the bottom, it would have been completely open. And now the bottom deck of the Belle is enclosed. And that's where our antique engine is. And a lot of our boilers and other equipment are there. And so that went through a few phases. And then the Belle of Louisville was the Idlewild from 1914 to 1948. And so during that time, she mostly served as a ferry boat with cargo or with people from Memphis to the Arkansas side of, so that was like West Memphis. And so after that, she actually became the Avalon. And so that was what was called a tramping boat. So at that point, she traveled every waterway in the Western River system. And so that's all the way, from Pittsburgh to the Mississippi River to the Missouri River, and then down to the Gulf of Mexico. So she's been all over as the Avalon, and then that was until 1962, and then she was purchased for the city of Louisville. And then when the city of Louisville purchased her, we wanted it to be Louisville's boat. And so there has definitely been some work done to renovate the dance floor, to widen the boat herself. We extended the bow so that, we could go a little faster. We'll get into why we want to go fast
Right.
a little bit later. And then we also have gotten some air conditioning put in, a little climate control for our dance floor. And this year we've got some really exciting new renovations. We actually improved a bar on our 3rd deck, so you can stay outside on the river the whole time you're out on a cruise.
You know what I love, Heather, though, about the Belle of Louisville is the fact that, if I stick with this plastic surgery analogy, okay, you don't want to look different than what you were originally, though. You don't want to shock people. And the Belle of Louisville, despite the restorations and the renovations, has retained her charm, retained that same look. And there are a lot of things that are very traditional about her that haven't changed a bit. Let's talk a little bit about, first of all, what powers her. Okay, she is the oldest, from what I understand, steamboat, Mississippi-style steamboat.
Yes,
Is that right?
yes.
Okay, clarify all that for me.
Sure, absolutely. So the Belle of Louisville is the oldest operating Mississippi River-style steamboat in the world. And so that is a very special thing to have right here in Louisville. And so she has a diesel boiler that powers a steam engine. So it's steam that goes back to the 19th century engine. So our engineers were able to date it back to around the 1890s. So the engine on the Belle actually even predates the boat herself. So that's really, really cool. And so she is a one-of-a-kind steamboat. This is an experience that you can only have in a handful of cities in the world, let alone North America.
Correct me if I'm wrong. We all have great memories of the Belle of Louisville, whether it be a prom or a dance or whatever.
Yes.
But if I remember correctly, there was a time when they were actually shoveling coal into her. Is that correct?
They absolutely
Okay, that
were.
wasn't in my head. All right.
Right, and that was on through the Avalon years, and then we converted the boiler to diesel in the 1960s. And that was in part to help us be a little more competitive in the Great Steamboat Race.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, because I thought I remembered coal.
Yes, they're absolutely.
I'm of course I was born in '61, so that I could have been very young and seen that. That would be possible. Okay, let's talk a little bit. Okay, these renovations, the dance floor being bigger. It's all really now for cruises and making it more comfortable for folks.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about, now we all know about the Great Steamboat Race, and we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah.
But for people who want to get on there and have that Mississippi, Ohio River kind of cruise feel, it's available to you. Tell me about some of the cruises available now.
Definitely. So our big catchphrase this season is we are not the same old Belle. And in that sense, it's because we don't have a one-size-fits-all cruise experience. We have something for everybody this season. So we have everything from Louisville Distilled, which is going to be a Wednesday night cruise with or without dinner that has a bourbon overlay. We have a partnership with Castle and Key Distillery for that one. So that's going to be a really wonderful special experience if you want to put a little weekend in your weekdays.
So wait a minute, what you're saying here is the Belle of Louisville likes bourbon as well. Everyone likes bourbon.
We're a Kentucky icon, right?
There you go.
You don't get Kentucky and not bourbon.
That's right.
Absolutely. And then on the other side of things, we have kids cruises. So we have a cruise called Steamboat. And so that is a family engagement experience that's designed for kids to get on the boat and be really hands-on and learn. It's not just steam like what powers the boat, but steam like science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And so there's going to be a learning experience there as well. So it'll be a really wonderful experience for families to learn together.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that tie there. An educational experience, and the kids will love it because it's something totally different.
Yes.
I want to go back a little bit to the tie you have with bourbonism, because I would think that with the Belle of Louisville, if there are folks, and there are plenty, and statistics show it, that visit our city because they want to go on the bourbon trail, you could tie into that audience. Was that the purpose of these bourbon cruises?
Yes. If we have visiting groups, we wanted them to have something in the middle of the week in case they wanted to, just be here Monday through Friday. We wanted them to get to experience that Louisville icon for themselves. So whether you're local or whether you're visiting for that bourbon experience, we've got something for you.
So a positive economic impact with the Belle of Louisville.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We know that Louisville's getting a lot of people visiting our city because it's, this capital having these amazing bourbon experiences. And so we thought, why not tie two of these really critical parts of our tourism industry together?
These Friday cruises, a live band, so that dance floor gets used, I'm assuming, right?
Oh, the dance floor definitely gets used. We have live bands on many of our cruises, including our weekday cruises. So some nights we will have a DJ if that's more of the feel you're looking for. Louisville Distilled is going to have more of a bluegrass feel. So we'll have different sounds for different people. We're bringing back our yacht rock cruises, which are very popular. That's going to feature Tony and the Tan Lines, a popular local band. Yes, so that will be a very fun night. And then in addition to that, we'll also have other classics like Throwback Thursday, which is going to have different themes every week. And so that might be anything from 70s to Swift Boat, which might be one that I'll make sure to attend.
I think what's interesting about the Belle of Louisville is that there's a nostalgia component here, because a lot of us, including myself, have an experience in high school or when we were younger, and now they can actually reboard the Belle of Louisville, and it's a similar experience but enhanced. You mentioned air conditioning and great live bands. I mean, Tony and the Tan Lines, my goodness. So talk a little bit about what you hear from people who go, oh, I remember the day, some of the memories you hear about, Heather.
People have some incredible memories of the Belle, and I love hearing them. I love sharing them with the community. Anytime we post a picture of the Belle, people send us in those memories, and a lot of our crew has wonderful memories. One of our engineers always says that he wouldn't exist if it weren't for the Belle because his parents met on the boat.
Okay,
And
whoa.
Yes.
Gotcha, we're good.
Yes.
Interesting, though. That's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and a lot of our crew also has long histories with the Belle. So our captain, Mike Fitzgerald, has been a captain of the boat since the 1970s. He's worked on the boat for 50 years, and so he's a wonderful asset to our organization, and he's not the only one that's been there for 4 or 5 decades.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to Captain Fitz, Mike
Yes.
Fitzgerald, and he was telling me the prestige and the pride that he has of being the captain of the Belle of Louisville.
Yes.
As I'm assuming, being in charge of communications and content, you have to be mighty proud. Awful proud sounds like a little bit of a contradiction there, but you have to be mighty proud because it is a point of pride and something that all Louisvillians tie themselves to. So it must feel good. Tell me a little bit about that.
It feels wonderful to get to share the story of something so special because the Belle of Louisville is kind of that little steamboat that could, because if we want to talk about the history back in the day when the Belle was built, most steamboats only lasted 5 years, and the Belle is nearing her 110th birthday this year. So that's incredible. And so it was a lot of luck and a lot of care. And so one of the most special parts of my job is getting to build these relationships with people with this expertise that take care of this boat, doing things that you don't do anywhere else in the world. And so I love getting to share those things. So I always say one of my favorite parts of doing communications at this job is to have that moment where somebody flags me down, and next thing I know, I'm looking down at the hull at some rivets from 1914, and it's just incredible to see.
I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the upcoming Great Steamboat Race. So I know the Delta Queen, from what I understand, I think was retired in 2008, somewhere in there. I think I was reading, but I'm curious. Okay, first of all, who will be in the race? Should I take a look at the odds chart? Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So we're racing the Belle of Cincinnati and the Julia Belle Swain on May 1st. And so that will be the Wednesday before Derby. And that's all I'll say about that. But, may the best boat win. And I'm sure many of us in Louisville have our opinion of who the best boat is.
Yes, we know who the best boat is. And from what I understand, the only thing that's really up for grabs is I guess, bragging rights. And then the gilded antlers, right? And that's pretty much it. But it's such a tradition. As you said, it's always the Wednesday before Derby. It really gets people excited because we know, okay, we're in the middle of the Kentucky Derby Festival. Derby is just around the corner, and now we've got a race to watch. It is something, it's special to be aboard that race because, first of all, very festive. Everybody excited about the Derby. This year, I think maybe even a little bit more adrenaline. Is it safe to say with the 150th running of the Derby?
Right, absolutely. Yes, it's always a fun event. It's always just a great time. No matter what boat you're on or who wins, everybody enjoys the race.
Okay, I have had discussions, and some of them have been a little heated, where I say, look, that race is fixed. There's no way the Belle could hang in there with steam power. With that being said, the Belle will hug the shore, which helps it go faster, not as much, I would assume, current. So you mentioned it's all holds barred. I mean, no holds barred. You can, cheating is allowed. Right?
Well, we like to play an honest game, yes. So
to an extent, right?
Yeah, I will plead the fifth on that one.
So you're not going to jump in this conversation, whether it's real or not? Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this. From what I understand, there's an annual pass now that folks can purchase, and then they can jump on the Belle anytime they like.
Yeah, that's the best deal in town. So it's $110 for the 110th anniversary of the Belle. And so with the annual pass, you get unlimited leisure cruises. That now includes kids cruises. So it could be a membership that you treat just like any other membership, like the Science Center or the zoo. It's just this great family experience you can have if you just want to go on the boat and enjoy some nice evenings or enjoy a Throwback Thursday cruise. You can do that all season long. And one of the really good selling points that I feel like about it is some cruises, it pays for itself in as little as one cruise. And so it's the best deal in town.
Yeah, about 110, if I remember correctly.
$110.
$110.
Yes.
Well, that is a good deal. That's a great deal.
Absolutely.
Because you mentioned Tony and the Tan Lines. I've been to parties where they charge hundreds of dollars to see them as the headlining band. So that's a deal in itself, and not including all the memories you can make with the kids. And that sounds fantastic. We have focused on the Belle of Louisville here on gaining interest. But I want to hear a little bit more about the other boats and maybe what's available there.
Sure. So we have the Mary Miller. So she is our smaller boat, but she's a wonderful boat that we take out. It's about half and half with both cruises. The Mary Miller is the boat where we'll have a lot of our Louisville distilled cruises. It's where our kids' cruises take place. She's got a gorgeous bathroom renovation this year, so she's looking great. Fresh coats of paint.
How old is she?
She's from 1985, so she's about 39 going on 40 years old. So she started out her life as the Georgia Queen out of Savannah, Georgia, so another city known for its riverboat experiences. And she's named for the first female steamboat captain who is from the Portland neighborhood right here in Louisville.
Okay, and I apologize. Miriam Miller,
Yes.
you said 3 boats. The other one is?
The Mayor Andrew Broaddus. So that has our gift shop. So that is something that the public can go on and enjoy. It's where our administrative offices also take place. It's where we have a lot of our, it's where our deck room is. So a lot of the construction on the boat happens on the Mayor Andrew Broaddus. But that, along with the Belle, are both National Historic Landmarks and have been since 1989. So one thing I always love to tell people is that out of 8 landmarks in the city of Louisville, we have 2 of them with Belle of Louisville riverboats. So that's a full 25%.
That is impressive.
Yes.
You know, you are obviously a plethora of information, which I love. You're very well informed.
So much.
I noticed that about all of your crew. Krista Snyder, of course, who's the director, and everybody involved has a real passion. Talk a little bit about the crew. Okay, you mentioned Captain Mike Fitzgerald.
Yes.
And his history there. Who's your engineer, chief engineer?
Chief engineer's Dan Lewis, and so he's been on the boat for several decades as well, and he is a wonderful person, an amazing expert, keeps things running. We have, people who really have learned under Dan and just taking care of this boat, learning things that you can't learn anywhere else. And so he's also a wonderful, wonderful source for the history of the boat as well, because he is down there doing that primary source research, so he once was trimming the paint on the side of the boat and found the words Idlewild. And so I said he has to dig up that picture, that we get to see it, definitely. So he's a wonderful, wonderful asset. We have alternate master, Captain Pete O'Connell, who's also been on the boats for a very, very long time. And then we've also got Katie Engstrom. She's been on the Belle of Louisville for about 52 years. She is our historian, and so she was the first female purser on the boat, and so she's got a very long history there as well. And then we've also got a wonderful staff of other crew, engineers, captains, deckhands, and full administrative staff who some of them have been there decades, and some of us are a little bit newer. But we all feel that same passion and joy to come into work every day.
Sure. I think what's interesting is obviously there's a lot of history involved, and that is important. But I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, or tell me a little bit about this, with you and Krista Snyder, I would think the challenge is, yes, retain the history, be proud of that, but you have to evolve. You have to get creative to keep people engaged. Yes. Like with some of these cruises, you talked about the steam cruise and for children and educational, and then you talked about, okay, let's bring bourbonism aboard. So talk a little bit about that thought process and how that works and what you decide to do and not do.
Absolutely. So for us, part of the Not the Same Old Belle is actually a little bit of going back to our roots. So when the city of Louisville purchased the boat in 1963, they wanted the Belle of Louisville to be the center for arts and community for the city. And so what we want to do is just always ask, is what we're doing connecting to that original mission of connecting the city to the river. And so that really helps us to try to find these new ways to get people to experience our boat. Another series that we're going to have this year is our On the River series. And so that's going to have some really interesting, exciting experiences. We'll have everything from bourbon to possibly a speakeasy event. And then we have Our River City, which is going to be a series where we partner with different community organizations. And so we will have different museums, different heritage organizations, lots of different community partners, nonprofits connected to the river, where you can come on and really learn something when you're aboard the boat as well.
I love that you have so many scheduled cruises that everyone here in our community can enjoy. But here's my question for you. If you're an owner of a company, let's say, Justin here at Legato Financial Services, a group, if Justin said, hey, I would like to, treat my employees to a cruise on the Belle of Louisville with us and our clients, or maybe there's another business who'd like to do something similar, can that be done?
Yes, we do charters, and that will be the best office party in town. Can you imagine a better time to get to do a little bit of team building on the river? So we do have a group sales department, group sales at belleoflouisville.org, and they would love to help craft those experiences for anybody who wants to charter the boat privately, or we do for groups of 15 or more as well.
So it's interesting about, to me, the love that people have for, you know, basically an old steamboat. There's something endearing about going down to the river and hearing that, what is an organ, a calliope. Tell me about the sounds that we hear that emanate from the Belle of Louisville during the day.
Yes, that is our calliope. And so she is pretty famous. She went internet viral a couple of years ago because she plays like a piano. We can play anything we want on the calliope. So that was originally put on boats because before we had internet and telephones and things like that, that would signal that a boat was coming to the shore of a city or a town, which means that if you are in a place where it's maybe not as densely populated or the buildings aren't as tall, you can hear her for 10 miles. So we are taking requests. If anybody's got a calliope song they'd like to hear, they can get in touch with us and we'll see. We have a couple of great calliope players. Martha Gibbs is one, and she'd love to, you know, play a little tune for anybody who wants to hear one.
Very cool.
Yes.
Very cool. Okay. We've talked about, we touched upon the fact that Delta Queen, I think, is retired. And so are there other cities that are maybe of similar market size that have retained, if not a steamboat, a boat of any sort that is kind of tied in or, you know, partnered with the city as the Belle of Louisville is, or are you one of a kind?
Well, we are one of a kind in having that original steamboat experience. New Orleans has the Natchez, which is also a steamboat, so it's a little bit newer than the Belle, but still an antique boat. In other cities like St. Louis, you can also have a riverboat experience. Savannah, Georgia, Cincinnati's got some riverboats, and I believe the Julia Bell Swain is coming out of Nashville. So that'll be a really exciting experience.
I would think if you've ever been aboard the Belle of Louisville, and by the way, once again, thanks to Legato Financial Group for funding Gaining Interest, but if you've ever been aboard the Belle of Louisville, I think it's safe to say it is a unique experience. I'm curious, you're on there a lot. Does that view ever get old, or are you a little bit jaded and go, okay, I've done this, I don't want to do it anymore, or do you still enjoy being aboard the Belle?
It never gets old. It's a place where time really stands still in a way that it can't anywhere else. There's just something about the water and being there. So whether you're on the boat itself on a cruise or just in one of our riverboats, you know, I will go rinse out my coffee mug and look out the window and there's river. You know, it's just an experience that not everybody else gets to have. And I think it's probably never going to wear off, and you can definitely see that in the eyes of everybody that works for Belle of Louisville Riverboats.
Okay, so we've talked about your scheduled cruises, and we've talked about the children cruises and being able to lease the boat for a party or a get-together for your company, whatever the case may be. So, but remind folks, where do they go? We've touched, maybe folks are saying, oh, okay, I didn't take notes.
Yeah.
Where do they go to get more information on the Belle of Louisville?
belleoflouisville.org. So there you can find any information you'd like to know. We've got our history. We've got our cruises. You can purchase an annual pass. We've got our gift shop online. We've got a lot of really, really, really great merch. We've got a wonderful brand, a cute logo, so you can represent the Belle of Louisville in your everyday life or get a gift for somebody. So yes, belleoflouisville.org.
Yep, and you should get down there by the river again, and you can wish the Belle of Louisville a happy 110th birthday and enjoy a cruise. Once again, belleoflouisville.org.
Yes.
belleoflouisville.org.
belleoflouisville.org.
Heather, thank you so much for doing
Thank
this.
you so much. It was great to get to be on here and get to talk to you today and just share the word about this special boat that we have in Louisville.
You're a great representative.
Thank you.
All righty. Once again, Heather Gotlib with the Belle of Louisville. Enjoy a cruise today. Hey, 110 years old, 150th Kentucky Derby. There couldn't be a better year to enjoy Louisville in a very special way. Thanks for joining Gaining Interest, and we'll see you next time.